Hey, good morning. Well, wait, it's afternoon, isn't it? What time is it? 12:37. Yep, I guess it's afternoon. Well, it feels like morning to me. This is Mary Lou Foster. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Northeast Texas. Sulphur Springs is where I live, halfway between Dallas and Texarkana. And I am doing a retake of a video. I'm working with some new equipment and trying things out. Yesterday I did a video using Love Cats. This little stamp set is in the new mini catalog. It's on page 13. It's an independent stamp set. It's not part of a bundle. It doesn't have any coordinating products. But we've got some super cute products that I'm going to use today. This is the card I made yesterday. That video was kind of blurry, and I have since figured out how to sharpen it and focus it. So today I'm going to make this card because there are 3 stamps that use the cats in the stamp set. This one hanging off the wire. I love hanging out with you. We're going to actually use that sentiment today with this kitty cat. And without further ado, I think I'll go ahead and get started. The designer series paper that I'm using today is from the pack called Country Gingham. It is 6x6 paper. It's really pretty. It coordinates with Balmy Blue, Mint Macaron, Petal Pink, and Sweet Sorbet. And its front and back are different colors. So when I was looking for my color for yesterday, I'm like, there is no Balmy Blue in here. But I could see when I was thumbing through that there were, there were blues. Well, you got to check the front and the back of this paper to find what you're looking for. So today, this card is a horizontal or a sideways card. That's what I like to call it. And it is in Mint Macaron. Kind of a non-traditional Valentine color. But when you put a little pop of pink, polished pink or Sweet Sorbet with it. My card base is cut 5.5 by 8.5. Scored at 4 1/4. And remember, it's just depending on your orientation, which direction you turn that. My piece of designer series paper is cut 5 1/4 by 3 inches, which is very efficient. But since my designer series paper is 6x6, you can get 2 pieces for a card off of 1 sheet. My sample card, I used the kind of plaid or check. I guess it's a bigger check. I'm going to use plaid today. I cut both of them, but I think I'm going to go and see the back is the petal pink. Like I said, it's cut 3 by 5 1/4, and it goes kind of towards the bottom. And then I also experimented with the stamping, because my kitty cat's arm, on the sample card, there's an oval that the sentiment is stamped on, and you have to take your cutting tool of some kind to cut out the kitty cat's arm to make it look like it's hanging over your sentiment. So what I did is just stamp my sentiment kind of in the same place and just stamp the kitty. Well, I didn't like the way it's stamped. This is kind of a solid stamp, and sometimes the ink, it doesn't ink evenly or it leaves gaps. So let me show you my secret. I'm like, oh, this one needs the Stamparatus. I mean, kitty cats, I was going to say they aren't solid black, but we have one that is solid black. But in nature, nothing is perfect. So I've already kind of laid out where I want my cat to go up in, so that when I stamp my sentiment, it looks like his arm is hanging down over my shoulder. We have a porch swing out on our patio, and a couple of the cats love to get up on the back of that porch swing and look in the house. And it's over my husband's shoulder where his recliner is. And I'll tell him, you're being stared at. There's a cat out there looking at you. So if it doesn't stamp very nice the first time, and see, it's kind of pale, it's a little splotchy, just re-ink your stamp and stamp it again. That's the nice thing about the Stamparatus. Because I used the magnet, it held my little piece of cardstock in the right place. And I'll look in just a second and tell you what size that cardstock is. I'm going to make Valentine's for a nursing home here in Sulphur Springs. Look how much better that is. And going to let the ladies at the Senior Citizen Center help me. I'm getting my instructions. I hit them on myself. That piece is 4x3. So this piece is 4x3. And if you remember, you use your Stampin' chamois to clean. And I've got mine stored for temporarily because I was working in here yesterday, and I'm going to be working today in a stamp case. And I went to an event at Onstage, and she provided these. She slipped a piece of designer series paper, and she had wet wipes. It was a technique class, and we got pretty inky. So that looks to me so much better. It's just more pronounced. Oh, I got some black. Oh well. I'm going to use polished pink to stamp I Love Hanging Out With You. And I did ink the edges, so I'll have to be really careful and not rock this one. You notice I didn't just put the stamp on there and lift it back up. I gave it a little bit of time to kind of transfer the ink from the stamp to the cardstock. That really works under photopolymer, but I have found that it works great under our cling stamps also. So I have a piece of mint macaron that is cut 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. So you have just that little bit of matte around that. I made a rhyme. I do that a lot. Hopefully I won't run out of Stampin' Seal. So I was talking about my card class at the Senior Citizen Center. That'll be on Monday the 23rd. Starts at 1:30 here in Sulphur Springs. It's free. It is sponsored by a local hospice agency called Choice Home Health, Choice Hospice. And they provide everything. Adhesives, the card kits. We usually make 2 or 3 cards. So this time I thought, well, we'll make 2 cards that you can take home, and then they can help me make Valentine cards that we can donate to the nursing home here in town. They have 72 residents, so I could do it myself, but it's way more fun to let others participate. I use the sparkle organdy ribbon, glittered organdy ribbon. The only thing about it is, yes, it's glitter, and yes, it does sparkle. It leaves little bits of glitter behind, and the more you mess with it, the more it sparkles. And we're going to mount this on Stampin' Dimensionals. And I had some laying right here. Oh, I stood them up on their edge. So I'm going to put my dimensionals for sure at the top and the bottom. Because it's going to go over a ribbon, I have to be careful. And I don't like to put the dimensionals half on and half off the ribbon because it makes it uneven. And that's a personal thing. But the more you make cards, the more you kind of develop some tips. Oops, how about if I do it up the right way? Kind of tips of your own. I must have black on my hands. So what I can do is hide that little black spot. Then we're going to put a punched heart. And I was going to show you, I use the Country Bouquet punch. This is also new in the January to April mini catalog. And I was going to show you my trick, because you can see there are 4 images that you can punch out. And you don't necessarily want any of those others. You want to isolate and do just that heart. So I cut a strip of the fine, the sparkle glimmer paper. I keep using the word sparkle today. It's the 2022-24 in color glimmer paper. And the cool thing about it does not shed glitter all over everything. And if you'll stamp with it so you can look at where your image is and look at where your piece of cardstock, then all you're going to get pretty much, I mean, you'll get a little bit of extra pieces, but nothing like sticking a whole wide piece, you know, of cardstock. Let me see if I have a piece. Like if I stuck this in here and I only wanted that, well, I'm going to get all those pieces too that you don't need. So you could do the same for these green leaves in the middle. Just get cut you down a piece, and yeah, you'll get the bottom of the heart, which you're probably going to want to cut out in a different color. So that's my pro tip for today, kind of how to save paper. And I cut those out of blue, but I'm going to use them. And this little guy I'm going to put on with a glue dot today, because I am trying to figure out how to make these cards a little more efficiently. And then I'm going to use the in color oval rounds. And there are the pink ones on here. So you know that place where I got black on it. And I'm going to put one in the middle of the heart. And I'm going to put one. How about if I put it below it? Look how simple that card was. If you wanted, you could color in that heart with Stampin' Blends or a marker or your favorite little device. And you know, the card can't be naked on the inside, so let's decorate it. So if you would like to have this card kit with your $30 online order, I will send you a card kit and PDF instructions so you can make more of these. And my recommendation yesterday is you're going to want this stamp set to make these cards, and you're probably going to want the gingham paper, and that puts you over the $30. And then you can make these to your heart's content. I have yesterday's card. I'm going to leave that video up even though it's not great quality. And you would have a second card. It's in balmy blue. So on the inside I used this Country Bouquet. This was the first time, brand new. I just got it in my box this week, and I mounted 2 stamps on the same block. Just wanted to say Happy Valentine's Day. I thought that would be sweet enough for nursing home residents, well, just about anybody. And since this card is a horizontal card, I have a little bit more space side to side. For a larger linear type sentiment. Lay that aside. And then also in that same stamp set, there's hearts. And I'm going to show you about the heart. So we have the outline. And let me make sure I ink it really good. I'm going to put the outline down there. And it has I can get it out, a stamp that I can fill that in. Now there are 2 stamps on this stamp set, so you do have to be careful. I am not going to cut my stamp set apart. because I just don't like doing that. But see how I'm being very careful? I can see where I'm inking. I'm not putting that second heart on the ink pad. I'm going to stamp off because I want it to be, and this is also the first time I've used this. So let's do it again. You kind of have to season your stamp sometimes. Stamp it off and then stamp it, and that's what I'm going to put there. So let's get it inked. Stamp it off here and then line it up. Hope my head's not in your way. I probably should have put my piercing mat. Yep, should have put my piercing mat under it. Now, let's see if I can recover it. It didn't stamp fully to the bottom. I don't know if now it did. No harm, no foul. Photopolymer, you can see through it, get it lined up. So how sweet is that? Can adjust these so it's not quite as big. Feels like it might be overpowering the card just a little bit. So those are 2 cards made with the Love Cats in 2 kind of non-traditional Christmas colors. I've used 2 different papers out of that pack. Could do the same thing with this one. So that's all I have for you today. My next card class is coming up on January the 26th. I would love for you to join me. If you aren't signed up for my email list, you really need to sign up. That's the best way to know when my events are, what I'm doing, where I'm going to be, the specials that are going on, and that's how I communicate. Let's see, need to pull it down this way. Yay. All right, thanks for joining me. I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day.